What do you recommend to a veteran who is scheduled for an exam and reaches out to you and wants to know, should I bring all of my medical records with me? Should I bring, what should I bring with me? What should I come with?
So the C&P examiner has access to the veteran's claims file. So if those medical records are already in the claims file, they should be reviewed by the examiner. If you're going into a C&P examiner with a bunch of medical records that show the disability, I don't know what's going to happen to those records. They're probably going to tell you to take them home. They're not actually going to review them. And not only that, that evidence needs to be in front of the adjudicator as well. And so I would suggest that that evidence needs to be submitted to VA and to be made part of your claims file. It's really just probably not going to help at that point at the examination. Try to get it in beforehand and get it in front of the person that's going to be deciding your claim.
So one of the questions that I think that I get a lot is, do I have to go? Especially from a veteran who is being sent for C&P exam that they've already been to before. So maybe a year ago they went to a C&P exam for the same thing. And ultimately, unfortunately, almost all the time, the answer to that question is going to be yes, right? There are certain situations, certainly, where we've had, veterans who are incapable of leaving their home, either for physical reasons or for mental reasons. And those reasons, they may be service-connected for, or they may not be service-connected for. On those grounds, neither one of those two things matters. If the veteran is unable to leave their home and there is a medical reason for it, certainly that is something that we can reach out, or the veteran can reach out about, and make sure that the VA, and specifically the entity facility where the exam is scheduled, and then the person who has scheduled that exam, the person who's been reaching out to the veteran to let them know, putting all of those people on notice of the actual medical reason why the veteran cannot attend will be an exception, usually, that is accepted and not grounds for denying the claim. Now, the way that the regulations are written, if it is a new claim and the VA is already in possession of records that could be used to grant what the veteran is seeking, or to deny, I guess, but if there are records in the file already that prove the condition and it is an original claim, the VA is not technically supposed to deny that claim because the veteran doesn't go to the exam. That doesn't mean that that doesn't happen, though. And so that's the concern is, no, if the veteran has already done all of the legwork to put the records in the file that the VA needs and the VA could grant, if the veteran does not go to the exam, it's very possible that they will be denied anyway, even though they're not supposed to be. And then that's going to result in the appeal, and potentially it's winnable grounds that they should have been granted. Sometimes it's better to just take on that inconvenience and go to the exam so that that reason for the denial is not available. Now, if the VA has scheduled that exam for a reevaluation to determine whether or not the veteran is entitled to keep the rating that they currently have, if the veteran does not go to that exam, then that is grounds for the VA to potentially reduce that rating. And it is appealable. It's appealable with evidence if there's evidence that would refute it, but ultimately the VA can deny on those grounds.
Yeah, and another thing that's really important is sometimes people, when you talked about people not being able to leave their homes, we have had some luck with requesting video C&P exams if there's not an actual physical exam that's required. But it all just depends on the individual circumstances of the veteran. We also have some that live overseas. And so there are actually some places overseas that will hold C&P exams for VA, but that's something that if you are scheduled for an exam, you have to just make sure that VA knows that you're not in the country, that you're unable to come, so that way it can at least keep your claim open and not give you a denial or propose to sever your benefits or to reduce them. So a lot of that is just really keeping up with VA, making sure you're putting something in your file that says, hey, I'm unavailable for the C&P exam, either because I'm housebound, I'm in nursing care, I'm immune compromised, I live in another country. So just talking to them and making sure that they're aware of those things, so that way if something does happen and you are either reduced or severed or denied, there is a trail in there that gives reasons why. Sometimes when veterans fail to report, so an exam is actually scheduled and then they're just not showing up for that, usually if it is an increased rating claim, like you said, it's, grounds for a denial for that increased rating. However, if there's a good reason for why the veteran failed to report, sometimes just appealing that denial with a letter saying, hey, this is why I didn't make it to the exam and I'm willing to show up again, can sometimes get the claims moving forward and new exams scheduled.